Welcome to the Video Insiders podcast. I'm Carlos Pacheco.
And I'm Tom Martin.
And we are two less behind the scenes than we used to be, YouTube channel managers, critics, opinionated guys that have been doing a lot of YouTube for a long time. And we have this podcast here to talk about behind the scenes of YouTube. Tom, how have you been? It's been a couple weeks since we spoke.
Yeah, I'm definitely, done with being locked in this house. And as we record tomorrow, the UK pretty much starts to open up bars, restaurants, non-essential shops. Obviously, I'm going to be very, very cautious and, follow the controls. But I'm definitely
wear a mask.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing some different walls and faces and talking to other humans. Yeah, wear a mask, definitely. Me, I'm always pushing the style boundary. So I bought myself designer, well, not designer as in like designer brand, but a bit different of a mask. I'll post some pictures on social when I wear it tomorrow.
I bet you it's football related.
It's not. It was either going to be football related, kung fu movies related, or something to do with the 80s or 90s, and this time it's the 80s or the 90s. So.
Oh, nice.
And you? How's life? How's business? How's the weather in Toronto?
I realized we haven't spoken about the weather much in the last couple of podcasts. It's beautiful over here, very hot and muggy and all that sort of stuff. See, in Canada, we actually get summer as well.
It is very sunny here. And finally, after about 2 months of searching and pre-ordering, my hot tub arrived yesterday. So that's how I'm going to be dealing with the rest of lockdown.
Oh, you got a hot tub?
Yeah, well, quote unquote, it's an inflatable one, but it's it's got air bubbles and it's got a filtration system and stuff. So it's pretty neat.
That's amazing. We're slowly opening up very cautiously compared to our southern neighbors. So far, so good. Businesses are opening up, like patios are open, but like not much else at the end of the day. Like we're just, still being super cautious. For me, the biggest news is that, is trying to get back into physical shape, because just being in this space is, I think mentally I had a hard time, doing exercises, and we decided to splurge, even though our flat is tiny. We bought ourselves a treadmill. So we're doing, running at home stuff, and it's a little bit of a splurge. But when we're not spending money at the gym and going to gym, we're thinking like, well, it takes literally 3 months of the gym to pay off for that treadmill, and we're like, well, that might be worth it, And then over the past 3 months, my wife's bought a lot of gym equipment, so we essentially have a lot of stuff. Work wise, I mean, it's just it's just rocking and rolling. A ridiculous amount of like clients that are never would have thought, would reach out to me, and some that are way bigger profiles than I ever expected. Unfortunately, I can't really talk about them. But they're clients that actually forced me to sign NDAs, which I was like, whoa, I'm at this point now. So yeah, it's just busy, and counting my blessings as things are rocking and rolling.
I've got a feeling you're siphoning off all of the good leads from the Video Insiders email address, because I'm the opposite. It's very quiet where I am. But
really, actually, no. To be honest, there's a lot of crickets in the Video Insiders address. People, send us questions. Come on,
call me.
Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of months. But that's what it is. So before we get started, we're going to thank our founding sponsor, TubeBuddy, which is the ultimate tool for creators. I'd like to say that I'm getting more and more clients that are already on TubeBuddy by the time they call me, and they know a lot about it. And which is great, because I don't need to be a champion and sound like I'm, I don't like to feel like I'm pushing something, but I always sort of say this is highly recommended. So it's great to see that. One thing that I want to point out is that, it's really interesting as I talk to clients with this tool, is that when I recommend a tool is that they're actually, some of them are still afraid to add extensions to their Chrome thing. They're sort of, oh, it's a Chrome extension. Oh, I'm not so sure, or they don't want to link it up with YouTube, and link it up with their Google account, because you do need to give them permissions. So I'd like to say that, like, after 5 years of working with the platform, they've never had any issues. I 100% trust what Phil and the team are doing. So highly recommend the tool for you guys. Tom, we have a special offer for our audience.
We certainly do. You can get a world exclusive multi-channel license discount by visiting videoinsiders.fm/TubeBuddy. Thank you, TubeBuddy.
Thank you, TubeBuddy. So we're going to have an interesting conversation today because Tom has decided to cheat on me. And
I'm sleeping with Joe Rogan, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's not a good mental picture here. Tom, you recently launched the Pro Channel Manager community on Facebook, and which I'm part of also, but that's not necessarily the part where you're cheating, because I'm part of that community, so it's all good there. But you just launched the Pro Channel Manager podcast. Why did you decide to stab me in the back?
It's because I found out that you were siphoning off all the good leads from the Video Insiders email address, and I had to strike back. No, this is something that me and you both preach, and I think things we've both found out the hard way recently, not so recently, that you have to diversify what you're doing. Consulting is my bread and butter and kind of my little baby agency, but that's not really what is the long-term vision for me, because it's very much trading your time for dollars, shall we say. And so this is something that's been on the cards for a long time. It's actually what I first set out to do when I quit the corporate world a couple of years back, and I struggled to try and do it on my own. And then you'll remember that I partnered with my good friend Chris Sharp, one of the founders of Yoga with Adrienne. But he's just so busy with that huge booming business that he couldn't kind of continue to commit to that project. So I'm now going solo with that, and so rebranding that. And so yeah, my new podcast is basically a way to draw attention to my courses, my community, my membership, that kind of stuff. So a bit of content marketing, something that I haven't done for a while, which I'm finding fun. I actually posted a blog post the other day, which is the first time I've done that in a couple of years. Luckily, somebody else wrote it for me. But actually putting it into WordPress was something that I've not done for a long time. It's a podcast, and all of the products related to it is all aimed at kind of pro YouTubers, advanced YouTubers, like people that are about to go pro, maybe have several 100,000 subscribers, or people that want to be professional channel managers. They want to kind of do what me and you have done for the last few years. And so they want to know, how do I get clients? How do I audit a channel? How do I do keyword research? How do I run a channel on a day-to-day basis? How do I deal with rights management? But less about the kind of impacts to the industry that we talk about, but more about the how-to in the weeds, click this button, click that button, the kind of stuff that we don't necessarily cover here.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. So you're going to have much more sort of like people who are in front of the camera, as opposed to like here where we're much more about the people behind the camera. I'm not saying you're not going to have people behind the camera, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll probably have a few people, but not so kind of company leaders, more people that are on the front lines, people that might be running 5 or 6 YouTube channels, people that are doing on the front lines of content ID, people that are on the front lines of distribution. But yeah, it's most of my guests are likely going to be professional creators or professional channel managers that are doing something different. And it's not just going to be like people that have got a book to sell, or, each episode is going to have a theme with kind of actionable steps that you can follow and recreate.
Very cool. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's an evolution of what you've been trying to do for since I've known you. And I wanted to sort of like in sort of joke, I was like, oh, it's another 6 months. Tom's launched something else.
At the moment, it's every 6 days, I think.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
At the end of the day, it's the world we live in. It's all about testing things out and trying new things, and it makes a lot of sense to do what you're doing. I do think, from my perspective, I know that I should be outputting much more content out there. I am opinionated, and unfortunately I'm a horrible writer. I'm definitely dealing with like a lot of like ADD in terms of like being able to focus and thinking of like, okay, I need to, put all my thoughts down and write something and what I'm seeing right now. And that's one of the struggles that I have in this space. But, I definitely, encourage you to do this. I'm obviously being facetious by saying you're stabbing me in the back, but we're talking about this obviously to help you promote it. So
yeah, and you're part of the community, and it's the doors haven't opened to that. I've just hand selected a few people and kind of slowly opened the doors. And the kind of caliber of people that are in there, I think you can attest to, is pretty incredible. And
yeah,
you said the other day, has anyone got a contact at like this major multinational media company? Because I've got some content ID issues, and I knew that someone in there would have a contact, and they did. And there's how many people are in there? Less than 20 so far, and we've got a combined subscriber count of about 82 million YouTube subscribers between them. So it's pretty cool, and that's something that I've wanted to start. I'd say at least for 5 years. It's like we need a union where we can talk to each other without YouTube being in the room, and we can compare notes and compare what we're being told and ask questions that can't be asked in public. It's really kind of like a speakeasy for kind of people in the YouTube side of things.
I'll, sort of like be critical on one thing. You're on Facebook. So even though it's still, and we've had this discussion where, I totally agree. This is actually something that I tried to do a couple of months ago with more of a Slack group, but it seems certain people aren't very big Slackers. At the same time, it makes sense. A lot of the creators still use Facebook. And at the end of the day, no matter how much I hate Facebook, it's where a lot of people have their accounts and easier to sort of reach out to people. So it's still a good communication platform for that.
Yeah, you're definitely preaching to the choir. When I first tried to do this, a few times I tried to do like custom platforms and stuff. But you just find out that you're trying to ask someone to build a new habit of visiting a new platform and logging in. Whereas they're already in Facebook, most people at some point, or at least they're there every now and then. So you're not asking them to form a new habit. And I just want it to be a place where people will see what's going on, and anything to stop the kind of tumbleweeds, really. And I think it was a big dilemma for me actually to put most of the community, and there is another side to the community where there'll be like Zoom calls and webinars and stuff that won't be on Facebook. But as the core kind of communication channel, I just thought it would be the least friction for getting people to talk.
Yeah, I think if least friction is a good way to sort of say it. And so obviously now there is like a core invited sort of I will almost consider us beta testers of this system. What's the long-term plans in terms of getting others who want to join?
Yeah, so I think the next phase will still be like an invitation only, but I've got a lot of people that have already shown interest in joining. So I'll probably let them in first before I open the doors to like the public. I've got my new updated keyword research course that's going to be released. I've been waiting patiently to get a haircut so I can record some update videos. So that'll be edited and re-released in probably by the end of July. So hopefully by the time this comes out, and you can find out about the podcast, everything, just go to prochannelmanager.com and you can sign up to pre-register, or it might already be on sale by then. Or, you can shoot me a message on Twitter or something like that, and I'll add you to the wait list.
Very cool.
But yeah, really excited. I think what's really good for me is that all the times that I'd planned this, I'd always been working for other people and couldn't share like analytics. But now I've got like a channel, and we'll soon have some more channels of my own. I can open up the analytics and I can show screenshots and I can say this is happening and that's happening. And I feel that's really important to be. And also with the courses, like everything that I teach, I implement. So if I tell you to do X, Y, Z, if you look at my channel, you will see that is a exact mirror of what I'm teaching. It's not like I'm teaching one thing and doing another thing. And I think that's important to have a public example of practicing what I preach.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way. And I'm struggling right now in terms of finding a good way to sort of showcase what I'm seeing, especially when I manage so many channels. What I'm seeing is right now, as per our last podcast where, we're talking about like viewer satisfaction and some ups and downs with certain channels. What I did start to see is like, oh, wait a minute, like there's a certain vertical of channels that are doing really well. And there's certain vertical channels that have sort of dived over the last few months or few weeks. You can't really share that data publicly. And it was sort of the same thing with my group that I failed to launch. Was sort of with that idea is somebody to, people that I can share insights with and see what they're seeing on their end. Because, there's a lot of people out there that just share data and they don't really, talk with other creators and all that sort of stuff. So one channel's trend is not what everybody else's trend. So it's definitely good to have, a lot of us that think the same, a lot of us that have the same insights or the same data to work together. So I definitely like the idea of the group.
Yeah, because me and you will always say, have you seen this? Have you noticed that? Have you seen that news? Or are you seeing this trend? But there's only so many channels that we've got access to. But if you open that out to like another 700 channels and another 20 CMSs, then you're going to be able to spot that early for sure.
There's something to be said about smaller communities. Like, we're not, let's be honest here, we don't have 1 million, people listening to the podcast, although, we totally take that. But, at the end of the day, I have a firm belief that smaller, tighter communities are way more valuable than big numbers, right? And it's that whole, mindset of like, you don't need to be making 1 million views. They're nice, but at the end of the day, like if you have the core audience that you're trying to reach or access to, those are sort of the most valuable people you can work with, right? And, I have a network. I've been working in this space for a long time, but I'm not, Jeffree Star, although he's been canceled. but I can't broadcast, and people are going to reach out to me. There's no brands knocking at my door. But at the same time, I'm always fascinated at the people who do email me. And that's because I have a tight-knit group, and, building those type of, networks are very valuable for entrepreneurs, right? That's the type of group that I feel you're building.
Well, you say that, brands are not knocking at your door, but this podcast has a sponsor, and there's not many podcasts percentage wise out of every podcast ever made that will ever get a sponsor. So I think you're right. We are worthy of a sponsor, even if we don't have huge listenership numbers, because I know, at least anecdotally, that the people that are listening are the perfect people that we want to listen.
Yep.
I've walked into one of the biggest publishers in the UK, and really nice guy got out of his chair and was like, "I love your podcast." I'm like, "Whoa,
wow,
that's really cool." And he's like one of the pretty high up in a pretty big company, and and that's not the first time, So, I think you're right. It's all about niches, and I've always preached that is it doesn't really work when you say niches like we do in the UK, but the riches are in the niches for sure. So
yeah. Well, anyways, congratulations. I'll be honest, I haven't heard the podcast yet because life, but you just launched it like 2 days ago. So let's be like, I'll be like, don't give me a freaking break.
As if you don't already spend enough time.
Exactly. It's like, I'm drowning on YouTube every day, and you're absolutely right. It's a little bit of the reason why I didn't jump on it. Right now I listen to podcasts that change my mind more than anything else on things. So it takes a little bit more of a conceited effort to do that. And I tried to, one of the things, and again, bring it to the, when it comes to podcasts for me, I always like to listen to a podcast when I'm doing something, like when I clean the house, when I'm on the treadmill. And I actually use a lot of podcasts, and this is sort of like a tangent here, but I use a podcast to fall asleep. That, again, it's one of those things where it's like having my mind just not thinking about my job and everything that's going on in my life, and just listening to somebody else talk about a different subject. I was like, all right. And then within 30 minutes, I'm usually done. That's my podcast diet. But I listen to a ridiculous amount of podcasts. Like before we even recorded today, I've already listened to 3, and it's 9 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I listen to news and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, tangent there. So obviously, congratulations. Where can everybody sort of like find all the information? What's the URL again?
Yeah, it's prochannelmanager.com. You'll be able to find links to the podcast, to the academy, pre-register for everything. Yeah, you should be able to find the podcast on Apple Podcast, Overcast, everywhere. If not now, then in the next few days.
Awesome. Cool. Congratulations. So as a sort of like a next subject matter that I think we should maybe talk about is like, what's going on YouTube these days? That's interesting.
I think both of us are kind of deep in kind of more of the CMS world at the moment. I'm not sure how much you want to talk about your side, but for me at least, I'd say I am just knee deep in copyright claims, despite having all of the correct licenses in place for the movies for my movie channel. YouTube is just not set up to really deal with what I'm doing, despite the fact that I'm doing everything above board. And so yeah, it's getting to the point now where I need to upload everything like at least 30 days early, so that it can deal with like ad reviews and disputes and ownership conflicts and all that kind of stuff. So bit of a headache, but all just part of the learning curve, and bit stressful, but generally I'm really enjoying being a full-time kind of channel manager. Well, not full-time, but it seems like full-time channel manager.
As we speak right now, a lot of like big YouTubers have been, in a way, canceled or are giving up a little bit on the platform for various reasons, for past abuse, and YouTube just basically cleaning house, seems to be the trend over the last 18 months, right? Like, I think it was part of our annual predictions, right? Of like YouTube sort of like, making space for clean content. And even though some of these YouTubers are some of the biggest ones out there that have essentially helped the platform be what it is, there's officially almost like a no excuse policy if you've behaved badly even if it's in the past, right?
So who are we talking about here? I saw that Shane Dawson was demonetized.
Jeffree Star.
I saw that there were about 3 or 4 right-wing leaning channels that I can't remember if they got deleted or demonetized.
I'm pretty sure they got demonetized or taken down. I didn't look into the details. And funny enough, one of those right-wing nut jobs is like literally like 45 minutes away from me. I was like, really? Wow, I didn't even know that.
Another trend that I'm seeing is a lot of YouTubers coming out kind of proactively. I'm not sure if it's proactively or whether they started to get some heat on social media. I think, was it Liza Koshy and David Dobrik have both come out and said, I've made some mistakes in the past and I've made some videos that are in bad taste, and all kind of related to, I'd say probably more than like kind of Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
Even over here on mainstream media, we're seeing some big shows being pulled from Netflix and Amazon and BBC iPlayer and stuff like that. I was actually in the middle of watching a series and all of a sudden it just disappeared.
Really?
Yeah, it turns out that it had a later episode where one of the characters pretended to take the identity of a black woman or something like that. I don't know because I never got to see the episode, but
Wow.
yeah, we're seeing some big comedies disappear for some big names, big BBC shows. I think there was an episode of 40 Towers, which is kind of like comedy royalty here in the UK. I think one episode of that has been taken down. So yeah, there's a kind of big waves, big ripples. We got sport back here in the UK and the Premier League in the UK. You know, people are taking a knee before every kickoff. I think that was only meant to happen the kind of first game of the season, but it's a worthy stance to take, and it's continued into a few weeks into the restart now, which is cool to see. So yeah, there's definitely kind of ripples in the media world for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, one of the ones that sort of like made me a little bit more sad was Jenna Marbles quitting, essentially, which is one of the OG YouTubers, and yes, she has some questionable content in the past, but and people called her up on it. But
is that why she said she quit?
I think it's because here's the thing. I personally think that you can't expect these platforms to be forever for everybody, right? And maybe she already felt that she was outgrowing the platform and just kept doing it just because it was there. When people started calling her out on some of her past comedy, even though nobody was asking her to stop, it was just they wanted her to acknowledge it and all that sort of stuff. She decided, you know what, I'll acknowledge it and I'll definitely do it. But also, I think I'm done with the feedback loop, right? The negativity that comes your way. Like we all know how much of a cesspool YouTube comments are, social media is.
She's also been on the platform for a very, very long time. So
yeah,
she was the queen pretty much when I started back in 2012, and she'd already been around for a few years. So
yeah,
she must be coming on 10 years, and that's there's not many people that get a career as an influencer that lasts that long.
Yeah, and at the same time, what I really admired about her is just how she never took it too serious and just was her, right? Like she didn't jump on a fad. She just did whatever she wanted, and it people loved her for it. I have a little bit of a story where once I was at a YouTube event in Toronto and she was there. I actually saw fans faint. I was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, she's great, but come on, So that's a different. That was a funny sort of like anecdote. But here's the thing: YouTube, social media is still so young, right? Like we're still just getting our feet wet. It's like 15 years of doing this, thinking that this is going to last for 30 years. Like you doing this for 30 years on a platform, it's going to be few and far between. The amount of creators who do this, and the ones that can last 5 years or 10 years. Great, but sooner or later, you evolve, your audience evolves, you launch new things, we all change. I mean, look at us, over the last 18 months, we've done a couple of different things and our jobs have changed. So I can't imagine doing a YouTube channel for that long and feeling, not being burnt out, right? So
yeah, for sure, especially if you're actually like on the camera and the performer and the talent, that's a whole other level of pressure.
Yeah, we don't need to dwell too much on that, but I was just sort of like an interesting sort of trend as seeing this week as so many big ones got channels. And I also think there's, this is always an opportunity. Like there's an opportunity for new creators, right? There's always, for people creating new things, and it's never about the platform being dead. It's more about leaving space for new creators and new ideas, and I definitely think that's the opportunities here. In terms of you, for me, at the same time, like I'm having a little bit of struggles with accounts being taken down for various reasons, but I don't want to get too much into the details of it, but I think it's just part of the platform of managing so many channels and so many different aspects of it that, I've been lucky for the past couple of years and nothing's happened. Sooner or later, you're going to face the consequences of experimenting and trying new things and maybe working with people that you shouldn't be working with. And then, getting the channel shut down because of that. So, I'll leave it at that. And one day I'll be able to sort of talk about it more. But
yeah, I just want to point out though that I am kind of aware of what Carlos is talking about, and I can guarantee he's not doing anything nefarious. So don't like start trying to guess like he's doing some crazy dodgy stuff. He's not. I think we'll just leave it at the fact that I think mine and Carlos's relationship with YouTube continues to be love-hate, and the hate part just seems to grow with every year that we get more and more grizzled.
Here's the honest truth. One of my clients is my old employee, just for laughs. I'm not touching the YouTube anymore, even though like I do listen into the strategies and I do give my 2 cents. I'm much more interested in the traditional distribution side of things, back into what you used to do when you were at the BBC, which, for me, like to me, that's the fascinating evolution of my career. I was like, oh, wow, I actually really interesting to see how content gets distributed across all these platforms and the technology is being built and how easy it is now to get your content on a TV platform. It's just a question of like selling it to the right people or talking to the right people and just getting your content there. So I'm actually enjoying that. And, that's outside of YouTube. And now I sort of see that divide that between what YouTube is and what real television is, and how TV gets bought and sold versus the way creators build their audiences. It's just a fascinating world that I'm exploring.
Cool. And one question that I got for you before we wrap up is, kind of at the start of lockdown, and lockdown has been so long now, we kind of reported that, viewership was going up and CPMs are going down. I just wanted to see if you'd noticed any changes in those trends since we last kind of caught up about those.
Honestly, it's all over the place, right? So from a view perspective, there's certain channels, certain, verticals of channels that I've seen do really well or just be sustained, do, consistent. And then I see other channels that have sort of dropped down, but at the same time stayed very flat since that drop, right? So obviously there's something going on. Something big has happened to a specific type of channels. One of the reasons I don't want to specify is because one of the things that I want to do is put all this data into a big Excel spreadsheet and just start working at it. But exporting all this data is turning out to be very time consuming. So it's one of those things where it's it's such a big undertaking that, at the end of the day, it's ups and downs. Up until this week, revenues jumping way up for some channels, double digits, almost 2x up month over month. Views are flat, revenues way up. And in my head, it's okay, well, US elections, they're ramping up. Both candidates are spending a crap ton of money. And then all of a sudden, July 1st, a crap ton of advertising companies are boycotting Facebook. And some of them are boycotting Instagram, and some of them are boycotting Twitter as well. But guess who they're not boycotting? They're not boycotting YouTube. They're not boycotting Google. So it'll be really interesting to see how things evolve in the next couple of weeks and how CPMs are in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think my kind of opinions are the same. Some channels are doing really well in June. Some have dropped a little bit. Some have way down from what they were at the start of lockdown when that real kind of viewership spike really kind of bit. So interesting to see how it starts to fall out, and it'll be really, really interesting as we get into Q4 later in the year, because that's always kind of the golden quarter on YouTube. So it'll be interesting to see how things recover or not by then.
Could you imagine if we get a Q3, Q4, things are finally sort of let's just say they're 50% back to normal. And it's can you imagine the influx of advertising that's going to happen, that could happen there? That'd be insane. Probably the biggest, sort of disparity or increase month over month versus, the last few months.
Yeah, but then we also might see that a lot of companies have gone out of business by then. Who knows?
Very true.
We're definitely starting to see that in the UK. Some big chains are just not reopening. So who knows? So much to unravel over the next few months. And of course, you'll hear about it first here on the Video Insiders podcast.
Yes. And as we say goodbye, we're going to say a big thank you to TubeBuddy, who is the founding sponsor of the show. They're the ultimate tool for creators. I like to talk about features that people don't know that are super practical. And one of the features that came into conversations a couple of days ago with a client is the backup feature, where you can back up all your metadata using TubeBuddy. And that is especially important in this world of channels getting hacked. There are horror stories of channels getting hacked and all the videos being retitled and all the metadata disappearing. And, having that backup on TubeBuddy is a lifesaver for a YouTube channel. So definitely a very important feature of TubeBuddy. Tom, talk about our special offer.
Yes, as always, you can get an exclusive multi-channel license discount by visiting videoinsiders.fm/TubeBuddy. Huge thanks again to TubeBuddy.
Thank you, TubeBuddy. And as usual, I'll leave the links of everything we spoke about in the show notes, as well as the Pro Channel Manager links. Go check out Tom's podcast, but stick to this one as well.
Yeah, they're not mutually. You can listen to both for sure.
And obviously, if you're enjoying the show, give us a review on the old Apple podcast or whatever podcasts catcher you use that allows for reviews. Really, really appreciate it. And have yourselves a safe, I would say, beginning of July. By the time this comes out, it should be the first week or so of July.
Speak to you in a couple of weeks.
Later.